It's been a tough start to the season for the Los Angeles Lakers. Despite a slightly retooled team of aging stars, the Lake Show is 0-3, and the product on the court has looked bad, with the team unable to find any shooters. This is the first time since the 2018-2019 season the Lakers have started out 0-3. Like I mentioned, the shooting has been bad. They rank last in both field goal percentage and three-point field goal percentage, and they have shot 25% or worse on threes in 3 straight games, which is the longest streak in franchise history. Jay Will back with us. Brian Windhorst also with us. Wendy, good to see you. Thank you for being with us. And I'll start with you, Wendy. What do you think is the biggest problem facing the Lakers?
Well, it's the minutes that Russell Westbrook is on the court. I mean, actually, when you take a step back, I know we're 1 week into the season, but the Lakers rank second in defense. They've made tremendous strides on their defensive ability from last year. If they played defense like this last year, they'd have been in the playoffs. And so if they could just not be terrible for that stretch of the game when Westbrook is out there, I think they could actually probably stabilize. I don't think they've got a high ceiling for this season, but they are not this bad. And one of the things I think that the Lakers deal with that I don't know if everybody completely understands is that they face a pressure to treat stars a certain way because their brand within the league is to get stars to come play there. A 7th grader could watch this team and say, don't play Westbrook. You look at the analytics, LeBron and AD, when they play out there together without Westbrook, they're an excellent squad. When Westbrook is out there with LeBron and AD, they go into the negative territory pretty significantly, and that's who they're beginning and starting games with. So anybody who knows basketball a little bit could say, just take Russ off the court. And I eventually think that's what they're going to do, and probably relatively soon. But they have this other layer, guys, where they have to pay respect for him, because I have to say, I remain fascinated by the support that Russell Westbrook enjoys in this league. Just last week, after the Lakers played the Clippers in their home opener, Paul George came out and really was critical of people criticizing Westbrook, when clearly he was a big reason they lost the game. So part of what's going on here is the Lakers want to give Westbrook absolutely every single possibility, not just out of respect to him, but as a message to other star players they may recruit in the future, that we won't treat you badly.
Well, let me help out the players here, okay? Russell Westbrook never, ever cheats us with effort. Ever. He shows up. He goes all out all the time. His defense, especially against the Clippers on those 3 possessions late in the game, sensational defense in front of Kawhi Leonard. Caused 3 consecutive turnovers. There's no doubt about that. Credentials as a future Hall of Famer, no doubt. Nobody can knock that. He just can't shoot. To Paul George and all of those players who support him, you have every right to support him, because the attacks that have been made against him have been a bit extreme. What's not extreme is folks pointing out that you can't shoot in an era where if you're playing the guard spot, you need to be able to shoot. That's all. Nothing more than that. But here's the problem. Where the problem lies is Russell Westbrook is an alpha male. Russell Westbrook is known as being dogged and strong with his belief in himself and the way he goes about doing things. And there are folks that say, in the face of what you're doing, what you're producing, shooting 8% from three-point range, 1 for 12 on the season, and 28% from the field, might behoove you not to shoot the damn ball unless you attack in the basket. That's all. The one thing that I will say is this. Brian, you can go with this as well. And I'll go to you, Jay, with this last words. We got to stop just bringing up Russell Westbrook. Anthony Davis shooting 20% from three-point range. Anthony Davis, I came on the air and talked about how Anthony Davis was a top 7 player. I take it back. Damn it, he don't look like.
How do you know what I have down on my paper, right? How do you know I had that down?
He don't look like he even wants to go anywhere near the basket. And my point is, yo, bro, you too big, you too skilled, you too talented. What has happened to Anthony Davis? We need to be talking, yes, Russell Westbrook can't shoot, but that's about it. We need to be talking less about Russell Westbrook and more about Anthony Davis. Because, damn it, I expected better.
Can I add on to that?
Yes.
That was exactly my point. Do you know when Anthony Davis got traded in 2019, I looked up some titles of some articles, some headlines. Do you know what they were saying? Anthony Davis, a top 5 player, gets traded to the Lakers. Anthony Davis traded among biggest in Laker history, along with Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Pau Gasol.
Wow.
That's where the expectations were for AD. Now, I know it translated to a championship in the bubble. I get that. Congratulations. But, like, what happened to the days of us talking about AD that he was going to carry LeBron James? Like, I watched Damian Lillard last night. You talked about it earlier.
Dame time.
Right?
Dame time.
I watched Luka. I watched some players. Yo, it's their time where they're carrying the load. So I get that Russell Westbrook is an issue. I get that he has to fix that. I get LeBron James was in the MVP conversation last year at 37, still year 20. He's still playing at a pretty high level. Just to double down on your point, it feels like this team is a team of excuses. And I'm tired of the excuses. And the excuse, main number one, starts AD needs to be that player to carry this franchise. Is he the face moving forward? I don't know anymore. Stephen A., I don't know.
Wendy, Jay, I'll throw this by y'all. We talked about Russell Westbrook, and Russell Westbrook needs to be gone, right? Because he just doesn't fit in what LA is doing, okay? And Kendrick Perkins alluded to the fact that he might not want to be there, or they might elect to sit him down. Yeah. Should we rule out whether or not AD should be traded?
No. Everything should be on the table.
Yeah?
Everything.
All right. This to be continued. The Lakers are at the Nuggets. That's 10 Eastern tomorrow right here on ESPN. Wendy, thank you. I love you. Guys are in sync. When we come back here on First Take, few expect.
But Woj, what are the stakes here for the Lakers, and how does that impact their strategy up to this point?
Malika, the stakes are making a move or moves when they ultimately do that give them a chance in future years to win a title while LeBron James is still playing at an all-NBA level, and certainly Anthony Davis's part in it. But the deals that were there this summer are essentially what would be there right now, and those are the 2-pick deals, which is really the only assets the Lakers have. They're 27, 29 first-round picks, the Indiana deals they talked about, the Utah trades. And I think L.A. looked at those deals and said, yes, we would be better, but we wouldn't be good enough, and they wouldn't set us up to be a championship-level team. And so I think for the Lakers, you know, they're going to certainly talk to teams, but there's a level of desperation teams know they have. No one is going to do a deal with LA for anything but asking for a lot right now. If you're the Lakers, you really have to wait 20 games, see what teams may start to pivot, and look at what might be out there for deals that aren't the 2-pick deals. Maybe it's a 1-pick deal. Maybe that's somebody who's looking to get money off and trades somebody with more money left on their contract for Westbrook's expiring deal. Or things start to present themselves, especially in a year where you know there's going to be tanking for Victor Wembanyama, and all of a sudden a team has an injury, a team decides instead of chasing the play-in, let's get in the lottery. And I think for the Lakers, you know, they've got to be patient so that they don't compound the mistake they made, which was trading all of their assets for Russell Westbrook. 3 players that they could have packaged in other ways or kept, been able to kept Alex Caruso by not taking on Westbrook's deal and trading a pick to not compound that with another deal that they see as short-sighted. And remember, Rob Pelinka got a contract extension. LeBron James is on an extension.
Yep.
Pelinka does not have to go out and try to do a deal that saves him in the short term. And I think that's part of ownership's thinking is if we're going to commit to Rob Pelinka in the job, he helped us win a championship in 2000 in the bubble. We're going to allow him to reshape this roster. Let's not do a deal here that when people are just clamoring for it, that ultimately, again, is short-sighted and doesn't get them ultimately toward being able to really try to reshape the roster and chase another championship. Again, the 2027-29 picks, those are really the assets they have.
Yeah.
And once you burn them, that's it. They're gone, and you don't really have any way to improve the team.
Very interesting. So it doesn't seem that the Lakers are going to be moving in haste here. Woj, thank you so much for your time. We will see you later on NBA Countdown. As a reminder, here are the Lakers' next 10 games. It really doesn't get easier. Look, they host Dame Blazers on Sunday. They play the Nuggets twice next week, along with the new-look Timberwolves. So, Brian, you said something in our pre-show meeting about the biggest question that you have for the Lakers as you're looking at these first 2 games. What is that?
Yeah, what Woj just said about them waiting 20 games is a lot what the league does think that they should do. They think they might need to wait 40 games. They might have to even wait 50 games till the trade deadline. What the league, and I feel the same way, has some question about is in this interim, in these games now, why are the Lakers prioritizing making sure Russell Westbrook is comfortable when they should be prioritizing LeBron James is comfortable? They are bending over backwards, and they did it again last night when they were playing the exact style of ball that LeBron wants, which is defense and grind it out. And then they bring Russ back in the fourth quarter because they're trying not to alienate him. From the day that Darvin Ham took over, his number one priority has been what? Maximizing the team around the all-time generational player, still providing huge numbers, or dealing with the guy who's past his prime, who's too surly to be taken to understand the reality. And that is what is mystifying the league as they watch the Lakers start this season. Why are they not doing what's most important for their best player?
Like, for me, when I watch it, it is, to your point, it's like you have Anthony Davis, right? And he's already always talked about, hey, like, I want to play the 4. I don't really particularly like the 5. I want that's my sweet position, right? LeBron James needs shooter around him. All of those things can be solved by just moving somebody to the bench if a person is willing to sacrifice that part of their game and just saying, hey, I need to play better. But as the media member and as we're talking, and even as a former player, when you go up there and you shoot the way you do, your team doesn't play well, and you hear it's like, oh, no, we play well, we did some things. But to their point, they did. This is what they did. They only had 9 turnovers, right, for the Lakers. That's why they were in that game. So you got to compliment on them. They forced the Clippers into 21 turnovers. So, like, they were doing so many positive things. But there is still one part that's always going to be missing. You will not win games if you do not flood the court with as much shooting as possible. And that's not what they're doing. And we're going to sound redundant, but that's just basketball. So I don't know what else to say.
Zach, what else is there to say?
I don't really think there's much else to say. I mean, it's not going to work with Russ. It hasn't worked with Russ. We're in a lot of games now of sample size about this. And look, to RJ's point, LeBron is the best guy ever with the ball. So you're not going to take the ball out of his hands.
Nope.
Russ is just not going to do anything without the ball. He just stands there and his defender doesn't guard him, and that's it. With this idea that he's going to cut and screen and shoot corner threes should already be dead and buried 5 years ago. He's not going to do it.
Yeah, there are 3 things that made the Lakers win a championship. The first one is LeBron and AD played like the stars that they are. And I know, Zach, we talked about it a little bit on your pod as well. You got to be top 10 in the category. Top 10 in that category to really move the needle as a 2-star NBA team. So AD and LeBron, you've got that check. Secondly, you need to have that defense. And that championship defense back in 2020 was on point. Lastly, you need that shooting that Richard alludes to. Those 3 things, the Lakers have too. They have LeBron and AD. They improved on the defense yesterday. Those are the signs. They had, I believe it was at 9. Oh, no, they had 12 steals yesterday. Their defense improved. Coach Darvin Ham said that the glaring omission is out of the 3, they don't have that shooting. And until they get that shooting, that's the only thing that can push them over the hump to be a competitive team in the West. I watched that game, and I saw that it was interesting. 9 for 29, I believe, the Clippers shot from 3. It's like, hey, we held them to 9 threes. The Lakers shot 9 for 45 from 3, and that was by design. So many threes are being shot because they're going to force you to beat them from there, and that is a recipe for disaster because they just don't have the pieces to be able to make that happen. So they're already playing with limitations.
Look, there's nothing else we can say.
Yeah. Let's bring in
shooting. We nothing else.
Then let's bring in Kendrick Perkins. Hey, Perk.
Oh.
I got something to say. You know I always do. Look, here's how I'm feeling about the situation.
Tell us.
If you can't trade Russell Westbrook right now, which I believe you should try to trade him right now, then I believe you should send him home. Because watching the game yesterday, Russ looked not engaged. He looked miserable. And it's unfair to him at this moment. Listen, it's been bad since he's arrived in LA. He hasn't been able to fit in at all. And look, I understand he's not known for a 3-point shooter. I get that. But at some point, Russell Westbrook, that is playing with his mental. The noise is playing with his mentality. It has been for the last year and a half. And so now all of a sudden, it's not like he's been any type of help towards the Lakers. And now this relationship can't go up. It's going down. Like I saw when Darvin Ham took him out the game last night in the fourth quarter, his body language said it all on the bench. And you could see him kind of saying things under his breath, or he might have been saying it out loud. At this point, like, don't just make Russ suffer. Like, he's not this bad of a player. I get it. He's not the Russ of the MVP status, but don't just hold on to him. Don't just have him out there. Don't just have him looking bad, because he don't want to be there. And to be honest, the Lakers don't want him there. So why even try to make it work at this point? Get it. You can't trade him. But how about sending them home until you can find a trade, or when they get 20 games into the season, go ahead and make that move?
Okay, so before we put a quick bow on this conversation, Zach, I know there was one specific play that stood out to you that you wanted to show us.
Yeah, for all the talk about the jump shooting and the three-point shooting, those 4 blue dots at the rim are just as important as anything else. His layups have fallen off. In this one, he sees Kawhi there and just says, I'm out, I'm bailing, I don't even want to challenge Kawhi. And because I have problems, I remember this. That's exactly the same kind of thing from 2014 when Kawhi was becoming Kawhi in overtime of the conference finals. Spurs up by 1. The similarities are eerie, except this time Russ is like, I'm not even going to try you. Kawhi comes from the same spot, makes the same motion. It's really incredible. But look, again, all the focus on the three-point shooting. Yeah, that's a problem. His layup game has fallen off a cliff in the last 2 years, too. He's just bonking stuff off the glass, and it's